A very warm welcome to our audience and to our esteemed speakers today. Tata Communications presents ET Studios, the future of cyber protection in association with ETCIO. Now, today's discussion couldn't be more timely. We're operating in an era where digital threats are becoming more and more sophisticated, and especially the more persistent, and increasingly they're being business critical. It's no longer just about defending the perimeter. If you have to stay ahead of the attackers, it's now about rethinking the entire cybersecurity architecture from the ground up itself. Now, in this session, we are going to be exploring just exactly how deep technologies like AI and data lakes are transforming threat detection. We'll also be casting a closer look at the convergence of IT and OT, the platformization of security, and how organizations are building resilience especially across cloud, network, and edge environments. Now, to help us unpack all of this, we have with us an exceptional lineup of experts today. They're leaders who aren't just responding to change, but they're all actively shaping the future of cybersecurity. Please join me in extending a very warm welcome to our panelists today. That's Melvin Ribeiro, Director, Head IT GRC, Regional CISO and DPO at Julius Baer Wealth Advisors, India. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Thank you. Also join me in welcoming Amit Joshi, CISO at Hindalco Industries. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Also welcome Pradipto Patro, Head of Cybersecurity and IT Platform at the Diversified RPG Group. A pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Arvind Kumar, Associate Vice President at Tata Communications. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Now, my opening question is to all our panelists here today. Threats are increasing exponentially from ransomware to AI-enabled attacks. In your view, what's the single most defining shift that's reshaping cyber protection today? Is it, according to you, mindset? Is it architecture, or is it the sheer speed of tech disruption? I'll start off with you, sir.
Okay, so thank you, Shilpa, for this question. Just a disclaimer before I start. So the views, whatever is expressed by me only, nothing to do with my organization. So likely, as you said, the mindset is the predominant factor when it comes to shaping the next generation technology. But having said that, the other two components, architecture and what the security, is still the paramount ask for us. So I think so it's a amalgamation of both the three things, wherein you cannot be absolutely in silos, leaving the one and searching for the other one. So I think so it's a blend of three things which if you effectively work towards it, will give you a better security posture to the organization. It will strengthen the overall design of the future requirement also of the organization. I think so it is paramount that the three of them come together at one stage and contribute for the future success of the organization.
So he feels it's the convergence of mindset, infrastructure, and sheer speed of tech disruption. Do you agree?
So definitely I agree. That's how when we talk about the entire infra or the IT landscape as well, it is always people, process, and technology, right? And that's how your question is also aligning, right? Because the mindset is the priority when we are having the actual people who are working on this entire technology landscape and everything. So mindset comes the first, but then along with the mindset, I think the architecture, when we look at, right, how secured is my architecture, what kind of the platforms that we are bringing in, or then the technology as well, right? So that's the technology landscape which comes. So how my mindset of people, how my architecture as an infra system is coming up and shaping up as well, and then how my technology is helping it right? Because until unless if you are having this all three combined, you will not have, because mindset, only mindset is not going to help me to build, some secured architecture or bring my technology or use the technology to the, to the fullest as well. And same goes with the architecture. What will I do of an architecture where my people are not supportive, where my people are not ready to accept the change as well? So I think that becomes a problem. And when we bring the technology as well, I think the technology itself is not going to drive, any business change as well. Correct. So I think the technology, how fine-tuned you are, implementing as well. So I think that is really the, the gist of how you bring in all the three, along and implement the right technology with the right architecture and with the mindset as well.
Okay, so I think we have 2 out of the 4 leaders today saying that it's a trinity. It works together. You cannot separate one from the other. So I'll make it slightly different when I go across to you, sir. So we're talking about mindset, infrastructure, and the sheer speed of tech disruption. Which is the most challenging amongst these three?
If we talk about that cybersecurity or information security side of it, it is always aligned with the business. See, what is that we are talking about is the mindset. Of course, the mindset which is to be not watched with the decade old. And today, the way the technology are disrupting those environment, or the way we are talking about digital transformations or the automations, it completely disrupt the way we think about years back. Today, we are the financial inclusion, the way it has happened, or the digitization, the way it is happened, the way the e-commerce is happening, the way the services of the government or might be the nation is providing to us, the way e-channel, it is all paramount. Like, the landscape is expanding every day, and the complexity is also getting into place. On that perspective, if you look, yes, of course, that artificial intelligence, the latest technology, it is today creating a lot of havoc, like, it is good side of it and bad side of it as well. If I'm not leveraging the artificial intelligence today, I'll not be able to defend my organizations in perspective of the bad actor, which is a sophisticated AI tool. So I have to be adopted those AIs and into our ecosystem. Talking about the architecture perspective, yes, of course, the way we are looked into different 10 years back or today, it's completely changed the paramount, because you have that, resource should be available anytime, anywhere, any device. That is what the thought is. After this pandemic is over, then we have seen that people are no more, it is only the stagnant one office and home. No, it is everywhere. People are working from mountains, people are working for their own places. They are given the freedom. Today, organization also having such policies, working from home or working from anywhere. But end of the day, the productivity matters. So we have to think about that mindset, as well as the technology which is disrupting today's world. Or might be, if you talk about different sophisticated, Internet of Things, or might be automated cars, or driverless cars, or a lot of things that the human, even the home automation you are talking about, a lot of changes are happening. Even the smart cities you are talking about, smart trains, smart cars, smart people have to be smart. That is where the point is. So we have to have the mindset to bringing to the upspeed, what is happening today. Okay. Not think about we used to do for this way, this is the best practice. No, you have to ask that, the same statu debate on that, why it is required, why not the process to be changed, why not the technology to be re-architecture, the mesh network to be created, the hyper-connected world. Today, the mindset should be changed. You will not say that, no, I will not do online, I will go to physically. How many people of us, going to bank and doing the transition today? No. Everything is happening online, right? So that is where you are talking about. Even though sitting at home, you can order for your food and place. So those technologies, the changes are happening. And even though not only for the humanity perspective and the nation as a perspective, we talk about satellite, we talk about a lot of automation, talk about a lot of smart, intelligent collaborations, getting things to be defended. Not only the enterprises as a country as a whole, we can think on that mind architecture. Of course, we have to look into those antivirus days gone, those MPLS gone, those things are, we are talking about securing ourselves within a boundary has gone, it is boundaryless. And technology, of course, you have to adopt those technologies very fast. If it is not that, we'll wait and watch for 2-3 years, you are out of the race.
Absolutely. It's become boundaryless with the increase of remote work, hybrid work. I feel everything is now on the edge.
Right.
Previously, everything that was on-prem is at the fingertips of everyone,
Right.
which means now CISOs also on edge.
Right.
I can imagine.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I will ask you this, Arvind, now that everyone else has weighed in. What do you think is the most definitive shift that you are seeing in cybersecurity, and what is it fueled by?
So first of all, I agree all the co-panelists here that the mindset, technology, and the architecture, all three are important because if you look at entire cybersecurity, it has changed profoundly last 3-4 years with evolution of AI coming in the picture. People want to adopt AI in a big way, whether it is generative AI or AI assistance or even AI SecOps.
Right.
So still, I would say that out of all three, mindset will always lead your architecture as well as technology. Because in today's environment, organization is not just defending the cyber attack. They are looking agility to ensure that business resilience is more important than anything else within the organization. They're looking ways to integrate your cyber in the overall ecosystem within the organization.
So when it comes to layered security, you would say mindset is also a very important layer.
Exactly. So if you look at it in cybersecurity, we always call probably the word people are the weakest link.
I don't know how people feel about that,
Yeah, it is true. Of
It's
course.
true.
Always it is true. Yes. Start everything from the people. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can have a best of the security, best of the processes, but people who is going to operate, going to work on the system, if they have issues, then nobody can save you.
So it's like that, Shilpa, ki people only get fish, right? Systems don't get fish,
Yes.
architecture doesn't get fish, right? So it is in that mindset, like
So it's in the hands of
in
the
the hands
people,
of the
yes.
people, exactly. Like,
Absolutely. You buy a Mercedes car,
Correct.
and if you get a driver which is not trained, you can imagine what will happen.
absolutely.
Absolutely. So the best technology can only take you so far as the best people can. So my next question is to you. Now, BFSI operates under some of the most complex compliance framework. How are you rethinking security architecture to not just meet evolving regulations like the DPDP or the GDPR, but also to scale governance without adding operational drag?
I think so, Shilpa, rightly you said ki we are strictly regulated industry, BFSI is. So, I mean, apart from the other DPDP and GDPR, there are other regulatory requirements from the SEBI as well as from the RBI. So, definitely, my first take will be on the privacy part. So, security itself is a paramount part, but now the paradigm, I believe, is somewhat shifting from security not as a concern to privacy as a concern. Because now, considering the digital world which we are living in, privacy is very, very critical and very, very important to an individual also. It's not only the security of the assets now, it's the security of basically your identity, which now matters. Because if your identity is lost in today's digital world, obviously everything is at stake, right? That is where I think privacy really matters for us. And being in the BFSI industry, of course you have the regulators who always ask about your security parameters, ask about your security posture of the organization. It is very, very important that you follow the regulations, whatever the regulators are coming up with, the new amendments in the acts, regulations and all, to strengthen the overall security posture of the organization. But I believe that now regulators are also pretty much for us the business drivers. I mean, if I want to implement more security to it, I don't have to go and ask my board saying, okay, I want so and so money for so and so project or so and so things. It's understood by them also ki it's a regulatory requirement, and the regulatory requirement will not only be hampering the business, but it's not a showstopper for the business, but it will be an enabler for the business. So that mindset, like which we had already spoken before in the first question itself, is now taking place at the board level also. They understand now that yes, it's a regulatory ask, and this is not going to hamper my business. It is going to strengthen my business as well. It will be a business enabler. Once you have that mindset, the other departments, be it an operation department or the other departments, are aligned with that mindset which the top management is having, and then things become smoother for us from a security driver perspective. So I just drive the ship. Everything is there for me. I just go there and say, okay, now we need to do that. So that is how the mindset plays. Once you have the regulation backup in terms of security perspective as well.
Okay, so you see regulation and compliance as being a companion to cybersecurity
Absolutely.
and not as a hamperer to operations. Sure.
What is the brand as well to associate with this? Actually,
Yeah.
if you talk about a lot of the compliances and all, if you are failing those, it has been always highlighted, and the brand impact would be there. So we have to protect our brand as well as a data privacy and talking about the
So
compliance.
apart from the brand also, there are regulatory fines also. I mean, those and blacklisting also. I mean,
Of
you will not be
course.
able to do the business also if you're not
You're so
complying
right.
with it. So these two are the other parameters which I want to just add what Pradeep said are the driving forces for us when it
Yes.
comes to the BFSI.
You're so right. In the BFSI sector, it's not just about getting penalized.
Correct.
The cost of non-compliance is
Is
non-existent.
very, and plus customers also don't come, right? I mean,
Yes.
you lose a customer, right? For us, the customer matters, right?
You need
So,
to demonstrate
yeah, you need
transparency.
to demonstrate that in a heavy way for BFSI sector.
My next question is to you, sir. Now, OT environments were never built with cybersecurity in mind. So, considering that, how are you viewing the convergence of IT and OT? And what's your blueprint for securing legacy infrastructure in a hyperconnected world?
See, irrespective of BFSI, where you have the regulatory bodies and everything, driving the cyber. But then I think in the manufacturing industry, when we talk about, right, it's there is no specific, compliances requirement or something. But I think what is shifting is the business requirements, right? Today, the board, they know that, we have to do the digitization. We have to look at, how do we enhance our operations? How do we control our, the wastage which is happening in our, manufacturing as well. And that's where, the IT ecosystem which has been built, for last, I think for decades, we have enhanced on our IT environment. How do we ensure that my IT environment is secured and everything? But then OT was always been, neglected. I would not say neglected, but then that was not the priority of the organizations, right? Because they knew, okay, it is in isolation, it is doing manufacturing, that's the job of the OT systems. But then now digitization, something which the businesses are looking for, right? How is my operations being done? How do I ensure that, with the minimum of the stocks that I have, how can I enhance my entire operations as well? So I think that's how the IT and OT, which is being, getting tied up nowadays. But then when this are getting tied up, because earlier OT, it had the legacy tools and systems, like for decades they have been using. But because now digitization is the ask and it is driving this, how do we do the connectivity between IT and OT so that the data which is in my OT goes to IT network? Because earlier it was isolated, there was no such requirements, and whenever they had to connect, they just connect the dongle and connect to the internet, the OT system. But that was a non-secured way of doing it. So I think that's how the business is driving. Plus, how do we secure the OT environment as well? Because, if you look at the statistics as well, more than 70% of the attacks which has happened in recent times were on the manufacturing industries, right? BFSI is one of them, but then manufacturing is also one of those industries where the attacks are happened. And this attacks has happened specifically on the OT sides, right? IT has been secured, but then OT has neglected, and OT is something which, for every manufacturing industry, it is a must thing, right? Because if you have to manufacture something, you need the OT systems which does the automation, which does the entire your process, smoothing and everything. Then once we have this kind of requirements coming from the boards and from the senior leaderships, it becomes a challenge for us as a security profession that how do we secure our OT as well? So first is to look at, what are the controls that can be implemented. So there is a controlled IEC 62443, which drives or it sets the guidelines on how do we, protect our OT environment. So first start with the Purdue architecture model, where I have an IT environment, I have an OT environment, but that is segregated, right? Then we have a DMZ, which is a 3.5 environment, where if there are any requirements, of the automation or giving any of the data from my OT environment to IT, I have a zone where, it can connect to my IT environment or to the internet as well. Then we have, then a proper layered of the network architecture, where we have zero level, level 1, level 2, level 3, 3.5. How do we segregate all our OT systems, right? And then when we have this kind of legacy systems as well, how do we secure them specifically? Because OT environment has not, or probably are still not ready to change the OT legacy tools, because no one want to take that kind of a risk that if something goes wrong, probably the losses will be in crores, right? And that will heavily, impact the business and the overall, the cost and everything. So, when we look at the architecture wise as well, or the controls, how we can, secure our environment as well. How do we monitor those specific legacy, systems as well, along with the, monitoring. How are we doing the integration with our SOC as well? Because for IT, we still have, security operations centers, but then when we are bringing this entire OT environment, how do we monitor them as well, right? If there are any threats which are, targeting to my OT environment, is there any specific communication which is going outside, or is there any communication which is coming from outside to inside as well? How do I give the secured connectivity to my OT environment? Because there are requirements which comes, from our multiple vendors that they want to connect our OT systems. Then how do we give that as a secured connect? Because earlier they used to just connect a dongle, and with any of the vulnerable tools, they were connecting it. But then that's not the right way of doing, right? So how do we give that, in a secured way? So there are multiple, security solutions which were implemented in IT. How do we now start bringing them in the OT environment, and then we secure our OT environment, and specifically focusing on the legacy things as well? How do we zone out them, or how do we secure that, via some protocols or some security, tools as well? So I think that's how this entire IT OT converge is happening, and that's the blueprint which I think, I will build for, for any of the, or I would suggest that if anyone wants to start with that, look at, the controls that can be implemented as well.
Thank you so much for talking us through that. That's a very detailed walkthrough. And also, I think the key operating phrase there is a secure connection when you want to connect to an OT, or even when you want to phase out a legacy system or talk to it. I think we have to make sure it's secure at every level.
Correct.
And not just, as you said previously, we would just take an unauthorized dongle and try to make that connection.
Here, one
Sure.
important point is, while we doing such that OT security today, the demand would be like, for any supply chain or the shop floor would be the smart factories. How the operational cost will be reduced and giving you the product will be more, margin would be better. Second is that the industry 4.0, we talk about more implementing, even though for the green perspective or the reducing carbon footprint perspective, OPEX reductions and all, those are also key indicator, like, KPIs for all industry, all manufacturing industries.
Correct.
So that they can reduce the operation cost and get a better margin side of it, and efficient side of it, or the capability side of it. So those are 3 points I would like to add.
Yeah, definitely. That's what, I started with as well, right? Because here compliance is not driving, here the business is driving
exactly.
these requirements,
That is what
right?
yeah.
So I think that really helps, and it's transforming as well.
Right.
Just to add one more point in this. So in the OT security, so normally look at the availability.
Right.
In IT, you look at a confidentiality and integrity.
Yes.
But in OT world, you look at a safety, which is one of the major factor when you look at entire OT security.
Right, that is also important. Yeah.
Very important.
Definitely.
I'll take it across to you, sir. Now with RPG spanning manufacturing, infrastructure, and beyond. Now, how does one orchestrate a platformized approach to cybersecurity? And also, what frameworks do you think or philosophies can help drive a centralized visibility that goes across distributed systems?
Excellent. If you talk about the platform, and today if you talk about the way we protect our infrastructure or critical infrastructure, the data or information side of it, it is more of, it's not a single solution or the platform, single platform. We need to have like, a lot of silos, controls, the technical controls or management controls or physical controls. It is evolving around those different layers, the way we talk about the layer security. And if you talk about the from endpoint to cloud, where everywhere we have to protect in different places, and at the same time we're talking about the identity. Identity is where we are highlighting more on the identity, because the way today the resources are there, or the digital world, the resources are focused. We need to ensure that whoever it is accessing that way, availability side of it, confidential side of it, integrity file will not be compromised any on this three. That is what the main focus on this. That is the platform will not get a singular platform. This is where we have to manage different platform. But of course, it is a wish to having the right architecture coming in future, where the mesh architecture is bringing like one OEM or one service provider can give us that singularity platform from endpoint to the cloud. So that is the aspire we are having. And the same point of time, whatever the controls we have, whatever technologies we have, modular approach or might be that layer approach, we have to cover those. That is the platform we are talking about. Second point we are talking about is the framework. Yes, of course, we have a ISMS 27001 and 2 framework. And second, we have an IST, which is all as the frameworks are already available, where we have to, one of them like, ISMS, of course, is the ISO, International Standard of Organization, has very beautiful to 2022. We have to follow those 93 controls and 4 domains we have. How effectively we implement, it is not that we have to certify ISMS, it's how effectively we implement those controls in the different layer. Not only for the IT perspective, it is the IT entire organizations. Though it is the business side of it, or administration side of it, HR side of it, legal side of procurement side of it, everything is covered across. It's interdepartment, it is the organization as a whole is to be adopt those kind of framework so that we can succeed. And second point is how the management is supporting to the cybersecurity framework or the initiative or the program you are taking on the organizations. That is where the mindset also the play a role, our key, the first point what we discussed. Those things will be in the place. And if you talk about even the controls, though the controls are there, still there are attacks. Though they have IT and OT is converged, still we have a lot of Purdue model, or you're talking about IC 62443, all protocol supported framework on those perspective. And also the cybersecurity awareness and training, still there are attacks. That's the foundation and fundamental things to be taken care of it. Are you doing every day your systems are in the latest version of the patches or latest version of the firmwares, latest version of that, what are the IOC you got or IOA you got, is this implemented effectively or all the controllers, wherever it is. That is what the key. The foundation and the basic and fundamental things should be clear and it's up to date. Okay. That is one. Then building block on and above is your artificial intelligence, where you get into those artificial enabled systems, technologies, you implement that. Then you can get into the processes, enhancing the processes also the key here. Okay, how much you can have that efficient process and inbuilt with the security. Today, if I'm having programming something in the code and that program has that certain vulnerability, it might be exposed after you go on live. So how we can build the DevSecOps, that is important. The Sec part is also important, not the DevOps. DevSecOps is also important. So those are the best practices we can implement. After that, we need to upskill our resources as well. It is not that you have implemented ISMS or NIST framework, put the best build of technology, best of the classes of process are all efficient. On and above, you have to be the skill to run this show. That is important. That is availability which is come to the picture. Okay, where we have to ensure that my services, whether it is my website or my payment gateway or my telecom side of it, my infrastructure, my supply chain, everything to be availability is a key, right? On that availability, first concern is that, okay, how much effectively you visualize your infrastructure is important. That is where the visibility comes. If you are not visualize your digital asset today, or you are not monitoring or not having control of your digital asset today, how will be having those reactive or might be the action on those digital assets? Because today digital asset is everywhere, right? If you don't know where is your digital asset, how do you control and monitor that? So that is the point where your visibility and monitoring part. You have to visualize first identify your critical assets, digital asset I'm talking about, or infrastructure or supply chain, the processes, and make it consolidate and ensure that the visibility is there, monitor effectively, govern them, make the change management process effectively, and putting those skilled people to run that particular processes and run the technology. That is the key. So that is where the visibility part covers, and it is paramount to have those. Everything is there, but if you not visualize anything, then we don't have any. Every time we will be coming into the reactive approach instead of the proactive. So our point is always, if the technology, people, process, and culture, which can enable you to become shifting towards a reactive to the proactive. That is the need of our today. This is no more to do the postmortem. Instead of that, you have to the live feed, live data, live incident, something as an automation, put that restrict there itself, the defend there itself, detect and response. That should be automated and effective and real time. So that is important.
Sure. Apart from the fact that you wanted a multi-pronged approach and a layered approach, I think what's also very pertinent from your answers that you think security should be continuous. It's not a one-time solution.
Right,
So
right.
I would just add to one thing is, right, no matter, what controls, and good point that you said is, no matter, what controls you bring, what technology you bring, but if you don't have the right skills of resources, all this will be in vain. The reason I'll tell you is, I have seen the organizations where they bring all the new latest, cybersecurity solutions and tools, or, IT tools and all. But if you are not implementing it correctly, your entire, probably the organization will fall at someday, right? So I think these skilled resources, while you are doing this entire implementation, it becomes very important.
So I will want to add a point what Pratito just said. So today organizations are bombarded with a number of solutions. And that is genesis of platformization, where you try to combine the controls in a platform, which is going to help you to streamline your entire operation. Even the skill set shortage also. Instead of having 50 controls, which is very common in most of the organization, if you're able to bring down even 30, maybe 20 also, and have a skillful resources, I think the life is going to be much simpler than having 50 controls. I think in cybersecurity, if you have a simple theme, try to do everything as a simplified version. Don't make it too complex.
So have strong protection, but one that's simple.
Yes.
Okay.
It can be managed.
Which can be managed.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll come across to you, Arvind. At Tata Communications, you play a foundational role in digital infrastructure. What's your approach to enabling cloud-native security architectures, especially when it comes to helping enterprises simplify protection across hybrid and perimeter-less networks?
So most of the organizations have redefined their cloud strategy. So if you look at probably 10 years down the line, people were adopting a single hypervisor. In today's world, people has gone from multi-cloud to hybrid world, where they have some workload on your on-prem, something on your hypervisor, even you have a SaaS player also. Now look at this, so much of complexity. If you have three basic things in place, so in terms of you have very well-defined zero trust architecture. Second, how are we going to ensure that the entire threat detection capability around all the hybrid ecosystem is managed. And third, your entire cybersecurity framework. I think if you have these three controls, in my view, you can cover most of the issues which you face in the entire complex world.
All right, now I have a closing question to everybody. We're absolutely out of time, so we'll keep this short. In one word or in one phrase, if you had to offer just one actionable priority for organizations today to future-proof their cyber resilience, what would that be?
So, we have seen recent past the lot of ransomware attacks, right? And the challenge the organization have faced is how do we take the, back our entire organization to the smooth the way we were operating. And data has always been a challenge, right? Because when the ransomware happens, they target the data which the organizations are taking backup and everything. So I think the resilience of, how do we bring back our business? I think that's the key, takeaway that I would, add here.
Okay, so resilience is most important.
Yes.
What would you say,
I
sir?
think so. Identity now, considering the age of or the technology or the era in which we are living is, I believe that apart from security, privacy, identity is very, very important in the digital world. Today, whether you are going on the internet with deep fakes and all those things happening, technology evolving, I think so. Identity is one thing which now organizations should consider to take very seriously. Either be it my identity, be it my customer identity, be it my organization's identity. So those things are pretty much very, very important and very, very vital in this era as of now. And you need to have proper safeguards in place because now you no longer have. It's about the data, like it is like data used to be the new oil, but now I think so. Identity is the new threat for everybody. So now, even if you see attacks, sophisticated attacks happening, it's all about stealing your identity. One such major example was the Ghibli one. I mean, people were in a very short span of time, people were so much crazy about it.
Yes.
And what he did, everybody knows from the back end. I think so identity today is very, very paramount important, and that is what the regulators will also keep on coming to it. You need to protect your identity because your identity can be misused in many, many ways. I mean, there are many practical examples today also in today's world also where identity is been misused in a very, very heavy way. I think so. Building resiliency around identity is very, very important. Give the users that awareness saying, okay, something which you are posting online will have a ramification to it. So you need to be, training the user, making them more aware, saying ki what are you posting on the websites or social media, which can take away your identity. So I believe that is one thing.
Awareness about privacy, posting private
privacy, yeah.
details,
Very, very important.
and also organizations to protect identity
So
and
in
those
fact,
details.
I would add, so that's the reason if you look at a recent trend, we have been talking about MDR, SOC. Now the focus even has gone to identity DR, which is identity detection and response.
Right.
So that is one area which has to be heavily focused. In the AI world, I want to say that in the next probably couple of years, AI security is going to be main focus.
Yeah,
now.
Absolutely.
It's already started.
It's already started.
Identity is the next threat.
No, if you look into the World Economic Forum also, the global risks indicated that the misinformation, disinformation, even though artificial intelligence is also 1 to 5, if you count, there is a high risk, that this is 2 things are also part of it. And what you pointed, the cyber resiliency, definitely every organization has to plan for the cyber resiliency, whatever the control, whatever the investment you do. But very short, I'll talk about the 5C. What is the 5C is mostly like, first C is of your definitely the cost. You have to invest right technology. Second is that continuity. What is that continuity method you have to plan? Business uptime, as you're talking the ransomware, how we can, even the backup today, ransomware attacking the backups. Correct. So third C is of course the compliance side of it. How the you have to comply in that way we are talking about different policy compliance. Fourth is you have to have more coverage, that the way digital transformation is happening, how you can cover your landscape so that we can more protected. So those are few points we need to ensure and to take it up.
All right.
The 5C things should be work to having the cyber resiliency better and more vigilant on those perspectives.
Thank you so much. It's been a very productive discussion today, and that brings us to the end of what has been a truly insightful panel discussion. From re-architecting security platforms to navigating regulatory complexity, and also from managing AI-driven threats to preparing for the quantum future, our panelists have unpacked it all spectacularly well. We've covered the many dimensions of modern cyber protection. A huge thank you to all our panelists here today, and a huge thank you as well to all our audience members for always staying with us and tuning in to our varied shows. And of course, it's a very big thank you for all of us. This session is part of our larger effort to spotlight the cybersecurity and innovations and ideas that are driving the leaders at Tata Communications. So remember to tune into our other episodes.